Hello everyone, this is Max from Cynical who. Today is something a little bit different, because for the sake of time, and also because it's irritating, instead of recording a voiceover like I normally do, I'm writing this text for a speech synthesizer. He's a bit of a diva and has a tendency to mispronounce certain Whovian terms, for which I can only apologize. This video is also unusual in that it's essentially a kind of general update of things that have been announced recently. Not sure if this will become a regular thing, but a few things have been brought up that are interesting to talk about. First of all, we're talking about something that's been causing a lot of head scratching within the Doctor Who community of late, hence causing both headlights and nits to take redundancy pay. This picture first appeared in the Zygon Isolation, a special short film that was made to commemorate the recent watch-along of that Zygon two-parter from Series 9, which incidentally I did watch for the first time in a while, and it was pretty good, apart from the bits when it wasn't, of course, but those bits didn't pop up often, apart from those times when they did, which didn't occur at all, until they did. But anyway, Emily Cook, who's been doing a sterling job of late, because of course when she isn't organizing these watch-alongs she works on the London Stock Exchange and her job involves working with money. God, I'm trying too hard with these jokes. They don't make any sense. But Cook herself has stated that this is a teaser of something, and that something is nothing to do with the 60th anniversary or the upcoming Time Lord Victorious stuff. So that narrows it down. But whatever it is, Emily has said on Twitter that we will find out on May the 23rd, which, incidentally, is Doctor Who's half birthday, a watch-along of that 2013 docudrama. An adventure in a space and time is also happening on this date, I believe. Whether or not that's a clue or a coincidence I shall leave to your imagination. That is of course generously assuming that you have one. So today I wanted to do what we Doctor Who fans do best, try to work out what this picture is intended to signify. To that end, I've been looking at this photo for 5 hours straight without breaking for lunch. Now I do like lunch, and my eyes now feel like someone stuck pins in them. In fact, with all this eye strain that would make a jellyfish wince, I am very doubtful that this will positively affect my eyesight in the long term. But lunch and eyesight are both petty and insignificant in this context, because this is Doctor Who. There is a hidden message buried deep within this picture, and I am determined to get to it. Now the first thing that grabbed my attention about this photo was the fact that the War Doctor, played by the late John Hurt, is covering his ears. Now there are surely plenty of photos of the War Doctor that the person who did this photo could have chosen. Photos which didn't involve him covering his ears. That the War Doctor seems desperate not to hear whatever's happening is surely a deliberate choice. This could mean a number of things. Maybe whatever's being announced is entirely visual, a piece of prose that doesn't require your ears. Maybe this is an indicator of what isn't being announced. Thanks to this clue, I'd be surprised if what we're getting is an audiobook. Or maybe it's something that is dangerous to our ears, something we won't want to hear. Is it perhaps a new line of Doctor Who branded mandrakes? Or are all the Doctors banding together to make a charity record? Following the success of last year's Children in Need album, Got It Covered, which, you may remember, featured singing performances from two Doctors, David Tennant and Jodie Whittaker. Maybe that album was secretly a test of the idea, and now they're going the whole hog. It's certainly a sensible idea, as we know the other Doctors can sing. After all, both the 3rd and 6th Doctors have sung in the past. See John Pertwee and Rupert Hines' Cynical, who is the Doctor, or the very model of a Gallifreyan buccaneer. Or maybe I am looking too much into a single tiny detail. I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities here. Something I have noticed on closer inspection of the picture. Something I didn't originally notice when the picture appeared in the Zygon Isolation, because of course the picture was very small, making this detail easy to miss, was the big bold text at the bottom that says coming soon. It's something that's very easy to miss and not notice if someone doesn't point it out to you. But upon seeing the higher resolution image, I noticed that a shadow effect has been applied to this text. This initially struck me as unnecessary. The text would surely be legible without the shadow underneath it, and as such the shadow effect does look slightly ugly. But then I had a brainwave. That felt glorious, by the way, as I haven't had one of those in months. What if the text shadow is a clue? What if it signifies the ever-present shadow constantly looming over us? If so, what would this shadow be? Are the Vashta Nerada returning? This I've always wanted to see, as the Vashta Nerada are an excellent concept. Perhaps it is significant that the font used for this text is called Futura. Well, think about it. Futura sounds a bit like the future. Maybe that means that whatever is being announced will be announced in the future. Gasp, radical. Or maybe this is all just bollocks. Maybe instead of pointlessly speculating about what this could possibly be and getting ourselves worked up, why don't we just calm down? Keep our expectations low and wait and see? Because there's a 1,000,000 to 1 chance that we'll be right, and we'll just end up bitterly disappointed when it ends up being yet another VR game that I wouldn't give a damn about because VR is the devil incarnate. Or even worse, it could just be an announcement that there will be an announcement. Don't you just hate it when they do that? Yeah. So moving on. Oliver's already done individual videos about the next two things, but I haven't seen them, so apologies if I repeat some of what he said. The first thing is the Power of the Daleks Special Edition, which is apparently coming out on DVD and Blu-ray on July the 6th. That is assuming there are no delays, as is often the case with the Doctor Who Blu-ray collection. Worryingly often, in fact. But anyway, apparently the animation that was originally done back in 2016 has not just been tweaked, it's been completely redone in most cases. Apparently Charles Norton, who directed the animation, has said that every shot has been recomposited. To quote him exactly, many sections have been reanimated from scratch. In fact, the entire first third of episode 1 has essentially been redone completely anew. That part's unrecognizable now. It'll be a good quarter of an hour and before you'll see any shots that are even close to how they used to look. It's still limited animation, of course, made with limited resources. However, it should be 20 times better than it was. It should feel like a new program and will sit far more comfortably alongside the other Troughton animations we have done since. It's essentially what we set out to do back in 2016, on the original Rush release, but were unable to complete in the time. We've gone in and fixed all the things, well, most of them that have niggled us since 2016. It's not a completely new animation, not a completely fresh start, in that we've not scrapped all the original work. There's still lots of the original in there, but it is still a massive revision. So it would seem that this is not a cynical cash grab. Oliver's talked about the special features already, but I think since then we've had more precise details on what we're getting from the latest issue of Doctor Who magazine. So to summarize, you get all the special features that were on the original 2016 release, so that's the commentary and 5.1 mix on disc 1, supplemented by trailers, some of the media coverage for the original animation, that's a BBC breakfast report and BBC radio spots, and there's also behind the scenes footage related to the animation, such as test footage, storyboards, character artwork, designs, and background paintings. Disc 2 contains a telesnap reconstruction of Power of the Daleks, a compilation of surviving footage, an original TV trailer from 1966, the original title sequence and Dalek session recordings. New features include the 1993 Power of the Daleks audiobook read by Tom Baker, incidental music, photogrammetry showing how the sets would have looked, and another HD photo gallery, this time of full color images that have only been unearthed since the original animation. And then we get an entirely new third disc, with a mere couple of pre-existing special features. You get the Servants and Masters documentary and PDF material from the original release, plus a new documentary also looking back on the TV serial, a behind-the-scenes featurette with Mike Tucker, a 1968 episode of the documentary Wicker's World, which is presented in full HD and features an interview with Terry Nation, the 1992 video compilation Daleks The Early Years hosted by Peter Davison, the earlier surviving TV footage of Patrick Troughton, archive footage from various BBC local news programs and Blue Peter, and a 2016 Newsnight feature. There's also apparently some Easter eggs. Oh, and you also get the animated episodes. A couple of notes. The original press release alludes to Doctor Who The Highlanders. That was a mistake, an error. No Highlanders related material here, although it was considered. But I'm willing to forgive that faux pas. as you do get a lot for your money. Apparently, as things stand, there are no plans for a steelbook release. So that's the power of the Daleks, and it sounds pretty good. We are extremely lucky as Doctor Who fans, as there are a lot of shows that, when they're released on DVD and Blu-ray, don't have the same care and love put into their restoration and special features. It's largely seen by broadcasters as a dying art form, as places like Netflix are reducing the perceived demand, and thus the allocated budgets for physical releases. For Doctor Who to constantly buck this trend is a blessing. Bear that in mind. Finally today, the plot thickens apropos the Time Lord Victorious project. Since Oliver's video on the announcement, the first 2 Time books have been announced, and they are written by Steve Cole and Una McCormack, both of whom have been writing Doctor Who Time books for a while. The synopses hint at the general plot arc, which seems to involve these creatures from the dark times called the Kochchara who control mortality, weaken expected and Daleks, and McCormack's novel features the 8th, 9th and 10th Doctors. The synopses read as such. First, Steve Cole's contribution, the night the full and the dead. We live forever, barring accidents, just like everyone else in the universe. The Doctor travels back to the dark times, an era where life flourishes and death is barely known. Then come the Kochchara, creatures who spread through the cosmos dispensing mortality. They judge each and every species and decree its allotted time to live. For the first time, living things know the fear of ending, and they will go to any lengths to escape this grim new specter, death. The Doctor is an old hand at cheating death. Now, at last, he can stop it at source. He is coming for the Kochchara, ready to change everything so that life wins from the start. Not just the last of the Time Lords, the Time Lord Victorious. The Night the Full and the Dead will be released in October 2020. Then McCormack's book, which presumably follows on from that. Even a Time Lord can't change the past. A wasteland. A dead world. No, there is a biodome rising from the ashes. Here, life teems and flourishes, with strange, lush plants and many winged insects with bright carapaces, and one solitary sentient creature, who spends its days talking to the insects and tending this lonely garden. This is Night, the last of the Kochchara. In all flesh is grass we are transported back to the dark times. The 10th Doctor has sworn to stop the Kochchara, ending death and bringing life to the universe. But his plan is unraveling. Instead of bringing life, nothing has changed and all around him people are dying. Death is everywhere. Now he must confront his former selves, one in league with their greatest nemesis and the other manning a ship of the undead. All Flesh is Grass will be released in December 2020. Both books are available to pre-order now, but are of course just part of a wider narrative involving books, audio adventures, games and comics. With such ambition and scope, and clearly a considerable amount of writers involved, it could go either way. Personally, I think I'll wait and see where this goes before I decide whether or not I'm interested. So that's what's happening in the Doctor Who world. It'll be intriguing to see how this all pans out, but let us know what you're making of it all, if anything. At time of writing, this channel is very close to hitting 200 subscribers, so a huge thank you to those who have already seen the light. If you haven't already subscribed, we'd be very grateful if you'd consider doing so. Stay safe out there, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.